I tried the other day, and there's this other guy out there, his name's Mick McCormack, and he's a very good foiler himself, and he tried foot straps before, and he kind of convinced me to have a go at doing a backflip. So this is like
this is the first attempt.
Oh, not first, this was third attempt.
What are you seeing, Sam?
What am I saying? I'm saying you're heading back out into the surf, you're pumping hard. Whoa, okay, and the backflip hasn't been executed, but it was a good effort. All right, Noah, Max, Hugh, welcome to the Range Project.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, cheers.
Now, boys, we've had a couple of OSCs on our podcast, but we've never had any current students. Now, you guys have pretty much almost left the building, but this is the first time we've had current Scotch students on the program, and there's a good reason for that. You guys have been involved in a pretty amazing project with Mr. McLean here at Scotch, and that is to do with foil boarding. Now, I'm a complete novice in this space. So, first of all, Max, what is a foil board?
Oh, I mean, it's a large topic to sort of get your head around, but I guess it's just a board with a very, very special fin on the bottom of it, called a hydrofoil, I guess, which you probably know, listening to this video. But yeah, it's just a very complex sort of fin that lets you pretty much fly on the water and get speeds you never thought were possible.
Yeah.
Okay, so Hugh, let's say I get myself a foil board, and I go down the beach, and I've got my brand new foil board that I've just made, like you guys, or I bought from the shop. What do I do next?
Well,
You fall off a lot, right?
Yeah, a lot of falling off. But there's almost too many options to go through. Like, you can pretty much do it however way you want. Like, you can do it on a windsurfer, you could do it on a kite surfer, you could do it on this new thing that they call a wing foil, which is essentially like a handheld wing that you use. But probably the majority of people, and what we've mainly used it for, is out in the surf, essentially doing the same thing as surfing.
Okay.
But that requires kind of a whole new learning how to pop up again.
So it's called prone foiling.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
and that's where I've seen these guys. And I guess, how did it all start? Do you remember, Noah?
Well, I in the class that we were doing dimensional design, I had the idea of doing a surfboard as my project, and then it sort of led into us seeing you out there when we were foiling, and it just sort of just switched to making a foil board.
Yeah, well, we're all just super excited about it, and we kind of do it at any opportunity. I think Hugh, you started it first, right?
Yeah, so I guess at the start of, around when COVID started, my dad bought like a wing board because he's kind of windsurfed his whole life but wasn't really getting any better anymore. So he sort of thought this was a new sport we could get into. And I guess back then, like, literally the only people who were doing it were probably Kyle Lenny, Laird Hamilton, and that was about the only people who were actually making it look good. And then, I don't know, sometime last year, it sort of just, brands started coming out and it sort of just kicked off. And then, yeah, got into it out in the surf, which is where it's a lot more fun.
Yeah, that's right. Because I remember seeing you out there, but I knew you went to Scotch, but I didn't know. Yeah. I'd never taught you before, and I think we started talking about it in class. We all obviously love the sport. We wanted to try and make the boards, and we thought we'd make the boards, right? So
yeah, and I think you came up to me, and I remember going, "Who's this guy?" But and then you raised the idea. I just thought that would be so cool, and I guess it just
you
went from
don't
there.
like you in particular, and Max, I don't think you do either, but you don't get the opportunity to do anything practical in your year 11 and 12, right? So
Yeah.
you're all friends, but you're all in slightly different areas, and you've all got different skill sets. There's leadership and house head leadership there. We've got Noah's one of the best I've seen at working and problem solving, and I don't know if that's maybe from a farming background or not, but that where do you?
Well, it's sort of the complete opposite of what we're doing with surfing in the country. So,
but you know how to solve problems as well, right?
I guess so. Yeah. Well. Yeah.
And you're really good with your hands. But anyway, we all work together, and I think together we did something pretty cool. This is an opportune time for me to give you something, by the way, guys. So,
Okay.
Hold on.
Oh my.
What's going to be, fellas?
highly
Oh
anticipated.
no, no way. It's our time to get out.
Is something going to happen?
Oh, this is,
Oh, look at this.
The jumpers, boys.
Oh, no.
I take off the jumpers.
Yeah, hang on. We'll have to put them
Mate,
on.
we're gonna.
Oh, no. Unbelievable.
this is, yeah, just give us a second now.
Exactly the same thing.
Are you gonna? Do you need to warn the audience here?
Oh, yeah. Let's cut. No one needs to see this.
Oh no.
Oh, this is much better quality than the ones I got.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Oh, look at that.
Fantastic.
How
Oh,
good's that?
We were saying this is the exact thing we were saying when we went to go get them. We were like,
Hashtag.
and you emailed us while we were out getting them, saying that you have a surprise, and we all looked at each other like it's the same thing.
Yeah, no,
That's crazy.
we were
that
at
is-
Hugh's house, and Hugh's mum was like, "Oh, well, presents for Mr. McLean. What should we get him?" And then we're all like brainstorming, and she was like, "Oh, t-shirt," and we're like, "Oh, yes." And then
That's such a good
later
idea.
we were like, "Oh, that's exactly the surprise Mr. McLean has planned for us."
Now double the, yeah.
Double the foil
double the
project.
foil
That's
project.
sick.
is that what they call when
Thanks,
smart
fellas.
minds think alike? Is that, I think that's what's happened there. Oh, that's brilliant. Okay. Well, now that we
You
have,
can wear one if you want.
oh well, I'd feel a
you
little bit.
will.
Yeah, exactly. I haven't done the work. Maybe next year.
Yes.
But I'll have a bit of a look at one.
Perfect. Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome.
Where did you get them done? Online?
So we got this from Target,
Yep.
and then we went and at Rebel Sports you can get this done.
Right.
So we just
Yeah.
went in there.
Fantastic.
Had a very interesting drive into the city.
And look, you know what I like, and why I really like this was very enjoyable for me as well, obviously,
Yeah.
and that's I think it's just to give you a memento. I had a lot of fun doing it. What I really liked is you brought something to the table, and didn't just rely on me to tell you what to do every time. So, you know, your board
Yeah.
in particular, you've got the graphics there. Do you want to talk about how we discovered how to do that, or how you discovered how to do
Well,
that?
actually, sorry, Steve. Before we do that, can we just go back for the layman who knows nothing about these
yep,
floorboards?
sorry, I'm
Can we?
getting excited.
You're getting ahead of yourself. Can we go back to like the genesis of the project? Like, how did it start? Your first day in the workshop or sitting around? To walk me through. One of you got Hugh. Walk me through that.
Well, I think probably Noah knows where it started a bit better.
Oh, excellent. Okay.
Well, I think I did probably like 3 or 4 weeks before these guys even were introduced to the project, because I sort of started designing it on this CAD design program called Shape 3D.
Okay.
And then sort of like from there you have like basic models and like 3D rendering of like boards that you can do, and people use it all the time for like just surfboards or whatnot. But we tried making foil boards on it and whatnot.
We did the prototype dock foiling one as well too. didn't
Oh
we?
yeah. Oh yeah, it's
Good stuff.
it's a long time ago now.
Yeah.
But yeah. So first we made pretty much got a piece of plywood and glassed it and put 4 holes in it, and that's the first board that we made.
Okay.
Then-
And that was. And when was that? How long ago was that?
That's probably first term. Yeah, would have been.
Okay.
So a long time ago now, but
Yeah, maybe 8 or 9 months ago probably.
yeah, it was only like a 2-week project because it was like no work at all.
Okay.
Just cutting out a shape of plywood and glassing it. But from there, sort of, because I still had that design to do, and then I was going to make a surfboard, a finless surfboard I had in mind, like a rabbit's foot design. But then from there, I just got hooked on making foil boards. So
Okay.
That's kind of when
awesome.
you started too, right? Did you
Yeah.
start foiling then?
well, yeah, it would probably be almost exactly a year.
Yeah,
ago
that's really
since I
annoying
started.
because he's way better than me, and we've been doing it exactly the same time.
Okay. And so, Max, how did you get on board with this project as well? Because you must have been thinking,
Yeah.
if you're anything like me and you haven't necessarily done a lot of work in a workshop or building anything, you must have had some creeping thought of, am I going to be able to do this thing?
Yeah, well, I was a bit of a rookie in the area, to be honest. I had a few goes at Hughes axis foils and like a bit of dock pumping, but yeah, I wasn't really the best foiler myself, but I definitely had an interest and like loved the sport. So like I think it was initially Hugh came to me with an idea, and he was like, "Oh, yo, you want to do this foil project sort of idea with Mr. McLean?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, that'd be awesome." And then I guess just involved me in the emails, and then we went to the initial session that we set up and just started cutting out foam
Yeah.
and just went from there.
Okay.
And we had,
Problem after problem.
remember we got Marcus to come in as well. So Marcus
that's
is
right. Yeah.
he's a pretty well-renowned foiler and waterman, and he designed the boards that I have and you had initially until you sold it. So he had a board originally, which was the same that I had, and he's now has no need for it because he's made his own, and it actually, well, we can't say it works better in case Marcus is listening. It works better.
Yeah, it does work better. So much lighter and everything. Just the construction, I feel like, is way different than anything that they made.
Yeah, so we had the guest speaker. We talked about some of the more kind of critical external design features and tried to understand why there are concaves and like what the rails are for, and is there a concave in the deck, and all these physical things, and then we had to really figure out how to do the construction, which wasn't easy. The research was tricky.
Yeah, so what I can remember from that point is when we started probably doing the designs on the computer. And I think it was kind of funny because we all started off like really thinking that design we made on the computer is what the boards were going to end up like. But I don't think that really happened at all.
Well, we designed them to first cut on a CNC machine, like off campus.
Yeah.
And then
We had to change what we were doing a lot. We were going to get them CNC cut, couldn't get that happening. And
What do you mean CNC cut? Excuse my ignorance.
It's like you design it's CAD CAM type program, so computer design and computer manufactured, and it'll cut whatever you give it.
Okay.
We pursued that for a while. Various things didn't happen, and we had to change what we were doing. And to their credit, they didn't just give up at that point, because a lot of people would when you hit that barrier. I didn't know how to make the boards, and they were actually had faith in the fact that we together could do that, which is surprising.
So I want to ask about that because it is a bit of a leap of faith for you guys, and you're in the middle of year 12 and you got a million things on. Were there points through the process where you were going early on where you're thinking, oh, this is going to be a massive investment of my time or energy and I'm super busy, I need to just
totally
abandon shit?
I think we completely underestimated how long it was going to take. I think we were all a bit naive to the fact that it was going to be a huge haul all the way to the end of the year. I kind of had this idea in my head that it would be done within a term and we'd be walking out with finished products, but that didn't happen. But
okay, so you had to recalibrate, reassess how long it was going to take, Max.
At the start, I thought it was going to be a big sort of use of my time and like something that I don't know why, but not something that I would enjoy that much. But I just got to the first sort of session when we started cutting out boards and just realised how much I actually liked just building stuff and like perfecting everything, like the concaves and the rails, and it's just a really satisfying project for me at least. So the time was definitely worth it.
So it was a bit kind of, some people say that when you get to make stuff, you physically make stuff and work on it, it's quite a meditative process. Would you say that's true?
Yeah, that is true. Because I don't do a design subject like Noah, so I don't really get to do any of this. I'm not exposed to any of it other than in year 9 and 10, but that's sort of just minute projects that you're sort of forced to do and that you're sort of led down, like building a lamp. It's not really your choice. You get to design it, but I guess the idea is sort of...
I think it's because it's so consuming as well. When you're there, you get a real break from what you're thinking about in your different subjects, and it can be quite meditative.
Yeah, for sure. It was also because I don't have a foil board myself. I was building this foil with the plan to buy a foil and then I'd have a complete setup. So I didn't have an existing board. So I really just spent a lot of time making sure everything was sort of perfect. Obviously it can't be perfect, but I just spent a lot of time making sure everything I did was to make a good final product, I guess.
Because you knew you would otherwise probably not be writing on anything.
Yes, most likely. Yeah.
Okay.
And they are really good. Let me show you this. Noah, you can commentate. Oh. So this is when it all kind of came together, and I think I was out this day earlier with you as well. I just came in, and then your dad got the drone out.
Oh no, Hugh's dad actually.
Okay.
I got the drone out. Yeah.
So have a look at this. This is. All right.
Is this the first day on the board?
Yeah, I think this is
first, right?
Yeah.
So for those of you that are either listening or going to watch this on YouTube,
Party wave.
Oh, it's just when all three of us are up. Yeah, this was a wicked wave. So two of them were still on Sonova boards, I think, at that time.
yep. And Hugh was trying straps for the
and-
first time, I think. Were you?
Oh, I don't think it was that day he was on straps.
I don't think so.
And Hugh's on like a lift foil, which is much harder, much easier, sorry, than to pump
this
out.
is
Than
you here on the board that you had
so-
just made
so-
first ride.
yeah.
First ride, yeah, look at that.
Yeah, it
Wow.
was wicked. We almost ate it there, but
At the secret spot.
Yeah.
yeah.
So that's kind of our local break that
the not so secret spot anymore.
we all rock up to, and you see about 50 blokes who you see every time out there.
Yeah.
Wow.
So these guys are riding waves for minutes at a time. Like it makes everyone else who's sitting out there on a board waiting look like fools because they're pumping around surfing continually for how long's the longest ride
Well,
you've had?
I had one ride up at Exmouth where I stopped because I got bored. Honestly, no, it wasn't that long, but it was upwards of 10 minutes. But
Yeah.
it was
Wow.
just, you have to obviously have a very good wave for that to happen. But
Yeah.
Is that really quite tiring by 10 minutes after pumping the board, or not necessarily you're having so much fun?
Cardio.
I think it's a really good workout because
Yes,
it's way.
these guys are extremely fit. It's hard work.
Right,
really hard work.
It's almost like that one wave. It's literally the only time I've ever done it. It's sort of I got to that point where I was maybe after a week or two of doing it, I was at the fitness level where it wasn't like anaerobic, I guess. It was sort of I could just pump out, get on a wave, use that time to.
So when you're on a wave, you can relax to a certain extent if you want to, but
Okay.
it's the pumping back out that's it uses everything you've got.
Yeah.
So do you think, Noah, can I ask you a question? Do you think, it seems to me that there's a bit more bang for your buck out there in the surf on one of these because you just get more
100%.
time to be on your board, compared to surfing? You're obviously a surfer as well.
Yeah, well, with the whole bang for your buck, I was out down south and everyone was surfing. It was like probably 100 people out at this break, and I was just catching the waves from out the back where it was only just breaking and going all the way back out and catching another and another. And these guys were looking at me, who's this guy? Just catching all the waves. And you pay $1,000 for a surfboard and you pay $1,000 for a normal fourboard, and you would use the fourboard 10 times as much, just because you're just always on it. You're always up, or maybe not 10, but you use it a lot more.
Yeah.
Depends.
So you guys could think you could see a transition of surfers onto these in the next 5-10 years. It'll be almost like an exodus from traditional surfing into this stuff.
Yeah, I sort of feel like it relies a little bit on location as well. Like here in Perth, we don't have the biggest waves to surf. Like Cove and Seconds probably is the most local break and picks up
Nothing.
rideable swell probably once every 2 months, and it's just and then you have Dutch Inns, which is the secret spot, probably shouldn't be revealing that, but just down the road, and it's got insane waves on 1 meter swell, which is every day, and then offshores in the morning, and it's just
But it's horrible for surfing, but it's great for foiling.
Yeah, it's horrible for surfing, but foiling is just endless. The break just peels off the reef and then goes into this big chunky slab. Not a slab, but a big fat wave that just you can just ride into the water and just pump back out, and it's just pretty much a dream.
I guess what I think is that it's never actually going to replace surfing because it's they're different waves. If it's barreling, you're not going to go out on a foil because it just gets super sketchy, and
That's just what Kailani does.
yeah. But it's probably once you start getting to a certain point, it's almost an easier sport than surfing because you can spend 4 minutes up on your feet. So
Yeah, and you don't have to paddle back out.
No.
I have to, but
at some point.
at some point I won't have to.
Yeah.
Well, this year was probably awesome to get into it because is it El Nino? I think the year is. So it's just been terrible surf.
La Nina, yeah.
Oh, La Nina, yeah. It's been terrible surf. So it's just switching to foiling. You can just go to most breaks now.
Yeah,
on
you
the small
search for
waves.
the small fat waves.
Yeah.
Which is what you used to avoid surfing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well-
I barely surf anymore. It's only if I have to.
Well, yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Foiling.
The whole idea around if you look at how big it's going to be one day has just changed. You used to look at it, it'd be 2 meters, and you're like, I can finally go out. Now you look at it's 0.8, and you're like, It's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Just because you really need nothing.
Yeah, like the other day we went out. This was actually the first time I rode that board surfing, and I think we were all on it. Probably the first time we were all on our boards, and it literally wasn't breaking. Like one wave every 7 minutes, and it was just a little tiny little whitewash wave, and like all of us were getting up on the same time. We're having the best time ever. There was no one else out, and it's just completely different to surfing, because otherwise you're scrambling for waves. You've got to be the deepest person, and it's all
and you can all catch the wave at the same time, really.
Yeah.
And you're all pumping around, following each other. It's a lot more communal, I think, than surfing.
And the crowds are also a big bonus in foiling as well, because it's sort of a new up and coming sport at the moment. So obviously with surfing you fight for priority like most of the time, and then you only get like 1 in 10 waves in a packed crowd. Whereas foiling, like, there is no priority, and you can all just go and peel off in your separate ways. So pretty much every set is just every surf is on, and every foil is just up and riding.
Wow, fantastic.
Yeah.
And you're still, in its infancy, you're still not competing with many other foil boarders out there right now. Okay.
Not
It's
yet.
part of the appeal to get away from surfing is to not have to compete with all these other surfers continually.
Okay.
And get away from it.
I want to pivot a little bit now to the learning. The learning experience that you guys have had. Being teachers, we're pretty interested in like these novel ways that students are learning, and project-based learning is a really good format, we think, for motivation, engagement, as opposed to the kind of more traditional types of learning, I guess you could say. So I want to ask you guys, how do you distinguish the process you went through in this, the learning process? I'll start with you, Hugh, if you're ready for it.
Yeah.
With the learning process that you went through with this project against the kind of, perhaps the more traditional learning you've been doing in class, in the subjects you're in.
Well, I think in some ways it's similar. Like we've got Mr. McLean who's essentially showing us, well, maybe not showing, but working with us to find.
Well, that's
ways.
it's kind of the difference. I don't think like I was a teacher. So
No,
I was like
a
I was in it
mentor
with them.
maybe.
I don't know, just doing it at the same time.
But yeah, I guess we were sort of having to work it out for ourselves a bit more, and obviously Mr. McLean having some experience with some of the stuff where we were there having no clue what was going on. He was definitely helping us get in the right direction and making sure that we were cutting the fiberglass correctly, not sanding our board down to like an absolute slither or something like that. But yeah, it's definitely you've got to think for yourself about some stuff, and you don't want to be going up and asking stupid questions because you know that no one really knows the answer. I guess that's kind of the difference, really, and it's a bit more hands-on with what you're doing.
Yeah, thinking for yourself is a big factor, and they came to it with a lot more of an understanding probably of what the boards looked like and felt like than what I did. So it was far from me knowing how to do it and them just following my instructions.
So there was really a bit more of a two-way street going on in the learning process between you and the boys.
Yeah, and it was an interesting relationship because I know, like, even it might be interesting for you as well, but I remember being out in the surf and he's like, Mr. McLean, if you just move a bit further on your board, you'll probably get, he was comfortable enough to tell me that I was doing something wrong. But, that...
Maybe not quite the most, I don't know. I see what...
So, it's, we're all...
Honesty is the best policy, Hugh. Honesty is the best policy.
We're all students, and we're all students in this project as well, I think.
So when the teacher is the student as well, is an important part of this whole learning experience.
Yep.
Okay. Was the lack of a kind of timeline different as well? Like, you've got a broad timeline. You want to get this thing done.
Structure, like timing structure.
Like a lack of... Because, when you're in year 12, right, and there's assessments and they're coming up and everything's laid out at April 15, you've got this test and, how does that change the way you sort of were motivated by the project or not necessarily? I'm just curious about that.
Well, I guess I can go first. Noah
well,
probably...
sorry,
Noah
maybe we jump to Noah or Max for this one.
All right. Well, I guess sort of having that time to do it when you want, which was a big option that Mr. McLean gave us, sort of scheduling around our schedule was really helpful for me at least and every other boy that did it, because we just... we felt like doing the forward project, so we did it, and then we got
just kind of rock up and go, can we make a board today? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Or I'd say no, or...
Sorry, another 2 hours of your time.
You appreciated that flexibility
for sure.
to come in when you wanted to.
And when you're not really that into it, like when you've got a lot of sanding to do, say, it's a pretty boring part of the process, to be honest.
Yeah.
You sort of don't, you're not up to it. So, and there's only like 2 of you there, so you might just wait till the whole group's there to get a bit more sort of motivation, I guess.
I think at one point there was pretty good waves, so we
Yeah.
decided that we wouldn't do it that day.
Which is awesome, right? Like, which is just
flexibility. I think is real key for any kind of project-based learning. Is a flexibility in time as well.
Yeah.
You're not restricted, so you don't feel like you're there when you don't want to be there.
Yeah.
but
Okay.
I guess it also helped that everything else was structured and this was flexible, because like if everything was flexible, then it just couldn't really see how everything worked or was put together.
Yeah, that's a good
So-
point. Actually, I wanted to ask you about that because you've got this traditional structure, right, of the subjects and the classes that you've got, right? And this is quite different. This is actually quite a unique and novel approach in any schooling environment, what you guys were doing. As you said, like if you had this sort of flexibility to choose which subjects you study during the day, you know, I could do 2 hours of maths and 10 minutes of English or vice versa, and then 2 hours of my foreboarding project. Do you think that would be a problem?
Well, I think for me it would be a problem, because staying on top of the subjects that I'm not that interested in that day is probably a little difficult. So it's just good to have the reassurance of the class and just see other boys doing work.
So you thought they were quite complementary?
Well, for me, it was like, if I go home, I don't do work for like an hour at least. And instead of going home and sitting on my phone or whatever, I could look forward to coming like with my mates and building a board for an hour, which was always nice. And Friday afternoons as well. Like we finish halfway through the day on Fridays, and being able to just, I don't know, stay at school a bit longer, do something that's not school related. Yeah, it was.
And
was
unwind
fun.
a bit with your mates.
Yeah.
Even though you're kind of working, but you're sort of not.
Yeah, it's sort of, it's the best.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. With the structure, because I actually did the
yours was a bit
dimensional
different.
design class. I was doing a portfolio and working through like the pages every week, and I just sort of meet marks so I could take the photos of the board to put in like construction pages and whatnot. So I had a lot more structure than these other two who could just one day come in and sand or one day come in and just glass it.
Right.
Yeah. So
And so yours is a bit more formalised, the process with the course.
It definitely wasn't formal. I was just doing whatever was next, but I had to like take heaps of photos. I got over 500 photos or something of the construction. So, and then had to, squish that all down into 3 pages of construction. And, I just, with the whole photo thing, it's just these guys were just videoing whenever it was cool and whatnot. And I was like, versus.
They were the highlight reel, and he had to go through the full process.
So, okay, so you guys are collaborating in this project, right? I imagine quite a lot. Let me ask you this, Max. Was there anything you really learnt from these two guys? What were some of the things you learnt from them that, things that you couldn't have done if it was just, say, you and Mr. McLean? What did you learn from Noah and Hugh in the process?
Well, initially I didn't have much time designing the boards, so I actually used Noah's outline template for the board. So like his exact template, like the 4:3, the width, the thickness, just everything. And I just cut that to size, and then I guess I sort of improvised from there.
Yep.
And I guess Hugh helped me with because he obviously knows a lot about foils, has been in the game for about a year. So it was like...
Veteran?
Yeah. So I guess he helped me with sort of that, and he was a little bit further ahead of me at stages, so he helped me with the next steps when Mr. McLean wasn't there or out of the room and stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hugh,
Well,
what about these guys?
Yeah, for me, I think one thing we did very well was learn from each other's mistakes. Like, if one person made a mistake, you better make sure you don't make that same mistake.
So Noah made most of them initially.
You two made pretty much all the mistakes for us, and then we just breezed through them.
And it was just due to timing. We were doing it. We were kind of slightly ahead, and we'd do something. It was like, let's not do that again.
Yeah. So I think the biggest example of that was when we were wrapping the high density foam on. We put like a carbon layer underneath, and Noah did it all the way to the edges, and that meant he had to sand through like a centimetre of carbon or something.
Yeah.
And we decided that.
A centimetre, but
Yeah, so sanding through different densities can be quite tricky, and it's just things you can't foresee these things. And if you were to try and think of doing this project in its entirety and plan for every error, it's not possible. You can't make things without going through this process.
Yeah.
Okay, so what about, how did the experiences that you'd had leading up to this, in terms of the sports you'd done and the subjects you'd studied, how did any of those things feed into your, ability to do the project and to be able to ride these foilboards, the outcome you wanted? Was there any kind of sporting background or what other
sports
experiences?
What sports led you to this? No.
Oh well, probably surfing I did, and also every couple of years we have a main group of 5 who just switched different like board or water sports. It went from surfing to skimboarding to back to surfing and now to foiling. So probably those types of things, and it's just about having fun really. And the ocean is you can.
So what other sports do you do though? Footy as well.
Yeah, well I guess footy and tennis. So pretty. Cardiovascular, is that the word?
Yeah.
Cardio.
Just using a lot of cardio, because cardio is everything when foiling.
Yeah.
Pumping back out and whatnot. But once we were into it, I really didn't know like surf foiling at all. It was all dock foiling.
Yeah.
So that's just pushing off a jetty or something like that and going to pump straight away.
So if you see a boat's going past the river, like East Frio jetty or something like that, there'll be these boys waiting on a jetty, sitting on it, and then they see a big boat comes past and they run and jump on their board and pump out and ride the wakes of these boats as they go past.
Wow. Can you then kind of like piggyback from one wave to the next, if that makes sense?
Yeah.
Like you can jump from one...
I guess last season we probably weren't good enough to do that, but this season it should be a lot of fun. But there's videos of guys who get up and be going for 20 minutes, just going from boat to boat.
And hope that a boat comes the other way.
Yeah, you just have to they just keep going until one comes the other way. Otherwise, they're having a long walk back to where they started.
yeah.
It's sort of hard to I don't know if you know the wake of a boat. It's sort of hard to drift forward onto the I guess the more powerful one if you're on a weaker one behind, I guess.
So there's multiple waves behind the wake of a boat, and you call it the first one, second one, third one.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it just depends on the speed of your foil, I guess. If it's faster than the boat, obviously you can make it, but most times you just have to, if you want to hitch another wake, you just have to like double back and get on the one behind.
Okay.
Sort of thing. Yeah.
It's incredibly challenging. Like to be able to pump and do that, it takes amazing coordination, and I don't think you can do it without the kind of background that these guys have in just so many different sports.
So do you think there's a threshold of fitness you kind of have to even be able to be in the game? Minimum fitness, you have to be a bit fit.
You need to be a little bit fit, obviously, but I don't think for actually like the technique that you need, it's probably not all fitness. It's like if you're wanting to go for 4 minutes, you need a lot of fitness at that point. But if you're wanting to actually learn how to do it, you probably won't really need anything. It's all in the technique and the balance that you have to have learned how to surf. Like if someone was trying to come into the sport, never have surfed, it would almost like telling them to go do a dock foil. There's no chance they were getting anywhere close to doing it. And even my dad, who's done quite a lot of wind sports and stuff, he really struggles with the dock.
Well, I've surfed since I was 5, and the first time I tried dock foil, I couldn't even get onto the board. So
okay. So if I'm like for let's say you got these young Scotch boys who want to get into foilboarding, like let's say they're 12-year-old young guy, what's the first step if he gets his foilboard? What does he do first?
Cheeky $3,000.
Yeah. Okay. Well, once he's forked out $3,000 and he rocks up down the beach or the river, like where's step one for a total novice?
Just got to send it, really.
Yeah, it's you got to go on the deep end. I think there's no easy options.
Yeah, it's
no easy
the
options.
steepest learning curve. But like once you hit that threshold and you understand the balance, you understand the foil, it's like
it's very hard to pinpoint what's wrong as well. Like
Yeah,
I've been
it
watching
is.
myself on videos. I've had people trying to give me advice on it, and I have no idea what it is that I'm doing wrong until one day I just go, oh.
And different boards and different foils have like different. Well, what I've found, because I've tried a lot of these boys' boards, not having my own foil until recently. So like a lot of different boards have different pressure points. So you like need to find the center, I guess, to make sure like you can put weight on your heel and weight on your toes to turn where you need. Because if you just sort of, if your heel's on one side of the board, it just like sways it. And once the foil's moving in one direction, it just keeps going that way, and it can be pretty dangerous.
Right, so it's quite...
There's a big wing underneath. We should have brought one in as well, but we'll get a photo. Maybe we'll put up a photo of you doing a backflip on your...
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I guess we can show that video now. It's a bit timely.
Show Sam that.
Yeah, so I guess the progression foiling is you kind of start without foot straps because that's a lot easier. And then a lot of people have kind of been transferring over to using foot straps. So I tried the other day, and there's this other guy out there, his name's Mick McCormack, and he's a very good foiler himself, and he'd tried foot straps before, and he kind of convinced me to have a go at doing a backflip. So this is like
this is the first attempt.
Oh, not first, this was third attempt. But unfortunately, my first attempt was better. Bit of beginner's luck.
Is that Mick filming you behind?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, so he got this video.
What are you seeing, Sam?
What am I saying? I'm saying you're heading back out into the surf. You're pumping hard. Whoa, okay. And the backflip hasn't been executed, but it was a good effort.
Yeah.
So I was talking to Noah about this as well, because you have a bit of a trampolining background as well. Is that the case?
Well, I guess we've all jumped on tramps a little bit and stuff like that.
Oh.
But it definitely has another bit of a risk associated with it, because like what I like to say with when we're on the wing is it's kind of like playing with knives and balloons.
Yeah.
It's sort of two things.
A 3-foot knife strapped to the bottom of your board.
Yeah,
right.
And a big inflatable balloon. So you could see how things go wrong.
Wow, okay.
But they tend to go wrong far less than you'd expect.
Yeah.
Which is good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So less injuries so far than on a surfboard.
Definitely.
Yeah, I
for me.
think so.
Well, everyone's starting to wear helmets now. And,
Yeah.
I think Mr. McLean just he's broken one.
Yeah, I've been rocking them.
He wore one in the first session. I think he broke it,
Yeah.
and I don't think you hit anything though, did you?
No, I just fell in the water.
Well, and like headgear, just.
But you feel it's quite high. Like I remember initially, like you're quite high in the water.
Yeah.
And it's a weird experience. And yeah, you can if you fall on that blade.
Yeah. Well, you just see heaps of videos out there of people like trying to dock foil and like leaning over a bit too far forward and the board turning and just laying like right in between the wing and the and the board.
And there's videos of wing dingers, which we were talking about before, which is the wing held above the board, and they sway their foil one way and they just like fall off the other way and the head just goes directly.
I can actually remember that exact video you're talking about.
That's where they kind of bend in half, right?
Yeah, and some foils have like sort of curved tips, but some are just like pointy and sort of chopped.
All the new ones are kind of just straight on the edge because that's what makes them faster. Yeah, and more lift.
Yeah.
Well, an example of someone landing on it was Dan Quinlivan. He's one of the teachers at Scotch, and he does a lot of wing dinging, and he's gone up for I think an air or something like that, and as he's come down, the board's come off his feet, and he's landed on the side of the wing, and it's just separated the thing from his board.
Oh wow!
So he's hit it pretty hard. And
another thing I think just with injury stuff is you definitely are more likely to get injured when you're learning. Even now, like trying to do stuff like that, I guess it looks pretty dangerous. But I kind of I know where everything is now. When you're starting off, you're kind of popping up, and you just have no idea what's going to happen. Like the board can go. It's like riding a bull almost. You just don't know what's going to happen.
Right.
Yeah, it's very unpredictable, and I feel the same way. Now I feel like I know where the board goes, and it's fine. But initially, you're like, oh my god, what's going on?
Yeah, and that's even when you've been surfing for years.
Yeah, it's really nothing like surfing. It's a whole different dimension. So the use of altitude, it's another degree of freedom at which that you have to control. And when you first start, it takes your entire mental capacity just to stay stable, not even thinking about doing anything, turns or pumping or anything. You're just using everything just as well. At least I was. These guys probably weren't in that mindset for quite as long as me. But
yeah, funny story. I don't know if you remember, but at Garden Island, we're trying your foil. And it was like I hadn't had a foil back then. Obviously, Hugh was pretty new to it as well, and I sort of fell off, and I did a decent effort jumping away from the board, but it just had so much momentum because it was like a 6 foot,
this is when we were
60,
using
70 litre board. Yeah. It was insane. It just had so much momentum coming my way and it just hit me in the head. And I was like, oh. And then
I remember popping up. You hopped on the boat, and we were like, Max, you got a cut on your temple.
Yeah.
And we were like,
I was like,
oh.
Oh, right.
and then
okay.
that sort
Yeah.
of put me off foiling for a little bit. I was like, oh, I'm not sure I really want to go back into the sport.
The danger.
And then a couple more falls, but then I was sort of got to my feet and sort of found the right balance, and then it was all just so much fun from there.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking when COVID sort of, blows over to some extent, well, it looks like we're going to be living with COVID for a while, and you guys get a chance to go on a foil safari. Is there an opportunity to go, like a surf trip, take your foil boards, or do you need to go anywhere else? So have you got, because of the nature of foil boarding, you can just stay right here in our backyard. Have you got any ideas about that?
Well, I think we're actually quite lucky that probably some of the best waves for foil boarding in the world are in Australia. Like we've got, I guess, Dutchies, you can't really put it up there, but it's okay. Then you've got like up north, that like in up north, it's good. Over in Byron and stuff.
Yeah, Noosa. Head over to
Noosa.
Noosa. Anyone thinking about it, you should move to Noosa.
But I don't know how you get a wave there. But
Tea Tree Bay, a place like that, where it just goes forever.
Skeleton,
Okay.
what's Skeleton Bay or something?
Oh.
Is it East Africa?
Oh yeah.
I think that's more of a surfing wave.
Yeah.
What's
Like,
the one?
that's
I've seen the one
fast.
that Laird Hamilton's surfing for incredible.
Oh,
Might be Nicaragua or something.
Oh yeah, I've
Oh,
seen
yeah,
that
yeah.
video. Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah.
Was
But
that
essentially-
is that the VR one? you
Yeah,
showed me?
yeah.
Yeah.
I
wow.
think that was Nicaragua, and
Yeah.
it's
just keeps going.
hundreds and hundreds of meters. Yeah.
Crazy.
So I think essentially the best wave foiling is the longest wave, and it doesn't really matter how good it is. It's just got to be long and probably almost bad. Like if it's barreling, good for surfing, you don't really want to be there.
Well, there
Yeah,
are guys as
gotcha.
well, which is another thing. I don't know how much you've done a little bit of this, but kind of downwinding. But there'll be people that ride these ocean swells, and I know Marcus we were talking about before. He'll go over to Rodo and then on a boat, and then say, "I'll see you back. I'll see you back."
At Cottesloe.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I guess talking about Marcus, he's a lot of people call him like the foil wizard or something because he's truly, he might not be, well, out in the surf, he's probably about as good as us, maybe a little bit better.
Okay.
But then downwinding, he's a jet. Like
Right.
my dad did a
Insane.
race with him, and he like my dad's on the wing, and he came in an hour earlier than him doing. So essentially, he's gone down these wind chops, and he's going faster than the wind chop the whole way down the coast.
Well,
And it's just
And is that just he's got this intuitive way of knowing how to jump from chop to chop sort
yeah.
of thing?
He
Is
also designs the boards and some. I think has
Yeah.
started designing the foils as well. So,
okay.
So he would have
Specifically for that kind of task?
or
like,
for like all round, like the Sonova boards are all designed by most
Yeah.
of it's designed by
Yeah.
Marcus.
Okay.
So yeah, so he would have like a really good understanding of how to use them and like certain
Yeah.
like
Wow.
Years of
techniques.
experience of just wave riding and just
So-
reading swell.
so how
think,
long would that take him to get back from Rodo to...
Well, I guess that might be like a kind of a rare case of what happens. I think normally they ride the sou'westers, which is the sea breeze that we get in Perth. They will go from, I don't know, anywhere along the coast. You just go up the coast.
Yep.
So I think Marcus probably started doing that. He started without the foil, I'm assuming, on like just a paddle board. They
Yeah, he
called
used a
that
stand-up
downwinding.
paddle. Yeah.
Yeah. And then he kind of, I think he's gotten into this foiling because obviously that unlocks a whole new level of things that you're able to do. And he essentially will get up on a wind chop. I'm not quite sure how they do it. I've never really seen a proper video of anyone doing it, but they sort of just pump up on like their paddle board
Okay.
onto a wind chop, and then they'll just ride that chop or link up chops for 20 k's down the coast, and that might be like an hour trip or something.
It's
Yeah.
incredible
Wow.
to see, and the knowledge to know how these swells are combining to constantly be falling. Really, so that's what they're doing. They're finding ways that they're always on the falling side of the swell.
Wow.
It's
And
and
they
the
can just sort of-
consequences of stuffing up are quite severe too. So you have to have a lot of confidence and knowledge.
Because you're going to be 10 kilometres out in the middle of the ocean,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
I've got a funny story about that. It was Hugh, this other bloke that does it, James Bennett, who's also into his foiling. We were both on these people who don't know what foiling is Armstrong's a brand, and on these old wings that used to be able to buy at 1550s, and Hugh's just going first wave just straight down the beach all the way from Dutch Inns to Cottesloe, which is about a kilometre.
800 metres, something
800
like
metres,
that.
a
Oh,
kilometre.
wow. Okay.
James Ben and I have hopped up and started pumping on these old like the low aspect type wings, and made it about 200 meters. Had about 200 meters offshore as well, and just can't.
It got stuck.
The legs just started burning too much, and we've fallen off. But you can just see like the amount of difference in like types of foils, and also like the experience. Because Hugh's probably had a lot more experience downwinding than James and I. This was the first time we'd tried, and it was a long paddle. I'll tell you that much.
So these e-foils. Is that a bit like people saying I'm not riding to work? I'm going to take my electric bike. Does it fall into the same category amongst foilers? It's like you're not doing the work, mate. Sort of.
I feel like you kind of want to be careful talking about that, because everyone's got a bit of strong opinions on that. I think I can probably.
It's probably the coolest way to spend 15k.
Okay.
But
yeah,
I call them FIFO foils because it's mostly the FIFO workers that can afford to do it.
Right. Okay.
Yeah,
so you don't have a bone to pick with the actual, like, it's a pretty fun experience being on one of those things.
I've never been on one. I don't know if you guys.
I've used one once, and it's just the boards that like usually come on are massive, so it's like a paddle board pretty much.
Okay.
With just a motor on the bottom which lifts you up, and it's you would expect it to go a lot faster than it does, but they're pretty fun. Like there's not a lot.
I think it would be limited for me. I think
It's
I'd like it for the first half hour, and then.
Yeah, I've never used one, but I've seen down on the Mozzie Park foreshore, there's been like an e-foiler and then another foiler behind him, and they had a rope, and they were just towing each other around the bay, and they're just like pumping. And then
that sounds fun. Tow into waves would be pretty good.
Yeah, it would be so fun.
It's an expensive
sport.
Yeah, you may as well just buy a jet ski. Yeah.
Okay, so I just want to come back before we move on to some of our final quickfire questions, Mr. McLean.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to ask you a little bit about this, because I know your philosophy that you apply, not just in this project, but in the music instrument making that you've done in the past and a few other projects. This idea of this perpetual learning journey and what that means. And can you tell all of us about the philosophy behind that?
What I try to do with my projects that I've done, most of my classes will be make a project that's fun initially, but it also where the learning doesn't stop when you've finished making it. So making a project that's fun and useful and high quality means you're more invested in making the product. So you understand the physics behind, composite materials or something like that. Understand what the channels do to the flow of the water over your board, all those kind of things. But so you're interested in making the board, you're motivated to do it because you like the product and you're going to make something really good. But then it also takes you on a different pathway as well. So your learning hasn't stopped now. You've got a brand new hobby that you didn't really have before, right? So it's we like to. I think teachers like to encourage learning for your lifetime, right? Lifelong learning, and I think it's just a good thing to do whether you're a teacher or a student. So
I think that term is bandied around a lot in education, right? It's like we're going to be lifelong learners, but I think this is
project, a way to apply it.
Yeah,
right?
I think this project actually does it.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who talk about these kind of things. It's not. I don't think that's good enough to just talk about it. We need to find ways of applying that in schools, and so this perpetual learning journey thing is to create something like a musical instrument. I've had boys that don't know how to play music at all. They'll make a ukulele and then they'll begin a whole journey about music. So, that's an example.
Yeah, I think it's an amazing philosophy and pedagogy and all that kind of stuff. So I think this is really unique what you guys have done. I don't think there's anybody out there in WA or in Australia who've literally just made their own foilboards as part of a school project that they're driving. I mean, I just don't think... I think that's super unique. And the other question I had was, now, like after school, now that you guys are going to be obviously carry on with this and you're interested in it, could you see yourselves doing anything more in this space down the track? Building these kind of things. You're obviously going to be off doing very different things, maybe at uni. Who knows? But could you see yourself returning to this, or you're going to have a bit of a break after having made one?
I think that's kind of the feeling I've had. I really enjoyed it for the first 3 months or something like that, and then I was kind of just like, I was really excited to get into it. I was excited to have everyone doing it, and I still enjoyed it to the end. It was just sort of, it became quite like sanding maybe was the thing that threw me off a little bit, but it's definitely it's a process. The next time
I love that they've had an appreciation of how long it takes to make things. I think that was a really good lesson.
Yeah.
I'm probably quite the opposite to Hugh. I kind of want to design another board with everything that I know now and just like make it absolute perfection, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yep,
'Cause
yep.
I definitely see things in my board now that I sort of regret, obviously, but that's part of the learning. But yeah, I'd love to make a new board that's just so good in every way.
And maybe even just apply the skills you've learned.
Yeah, for
again,
sure.
soonish sort of thing.
Before I forget.
Yeah.
Oh.
What about you, Noah?
Oh, well, I think these are two other blokes going to uni after school, but I never really had a mindset to go to uni. And definitely making the boards in school is just like set off a new mindset. I want to make boards now.
Yeah.
Just like,
yeah.
It's probably not the best career path, but
Matthew's shapes.
yeah.
Oh,
Pulse, mate. We'll do it.
Pulse.
Pulse.
Yeah,
And,
Yeah, I can see that.
Are you trying to get a job, right? Is this like an interview or
yeah.
dropping all these names of brands?
No, that's his brand.
Excuse my ignorance.
That's my brand.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
right. I thought you were
Shout out to Stand Up Surf
I think it
Shop.
was
Sponsor.
fantastic. That looks awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, yeah, that's the board I made this year.
Yeah.
Did the Pulse brand for the
I like the
portfolio.
brand. I like the font, the brand, the way you've designed that. That's
Well,
great.
yeah. Well, that's where the foil projects come as well. This the hashtag the foil project, I think, was Mr. McLean's way of showing everyone on Instagram what we were doing.
Fantastic.
So
yeah.
yeah. So and as soon as we finished making the boards, well, I finished before these two, and I was coming in even when I hadn't got a board to make, just to
Yeah,
look
you were
at-
helping
just
us out
to
and
help
stuff.
them out, just because it's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
And it's actually been really hard to get boards in Perth due to COVID as well, and so it'd probably be a good opportunity to start doing this kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely.
And what a cool thing to just be doing what you love doing all day.
Yeah, well, I pretty much, because I did the course, I get an hour to do it in school, and then we did it most afternoons, so I got 2 hours every day. And I also did metal work, so 3 hours a day I was doing construction of just products, and it was just...
And you're in heaven.
Yeah. I was in heaven, yeah. I spent my life in the science block just because I had 4 classes of my 5 in there, and it's just
That's
wicked.
brilliant.
Yeah.
There's just unlimited stuff to talk about foiling.
Yeah, no, it's top for ages.
You could just go
Clearly-
down to anything.
You could, yeah, you
Unlimited
clearly love it.
waves, unlimited
Yeah.
conversations.
There's so many stories. I mean, I
ends.
haven't been doing it for like a year.
Yeah. Mate, wait until we're like 25.
Yeah, imagine.
I don't even know what it's going to look like when we're 25.
Imagine the wings are all just gonna be like.
Well, that's kind of one of my questions before we go is like, so maybe have a think about the future of foil boarding. What do you think that's going to look like? What are the ways it's going to evolve as a sport?
I mean, you see these wings in the stand-up surf shop. They're selling like, first they designed the 200 lift series front wing, which is like 200 inches squared, I think is the measurement.
I think so.
They all do
Centimeters.
weird
Yeah,
measurements.
they
So
all do weird different measurements. And
Okay.
then they went to the 170, which is a bit higher aspect and then a bit lower volume, obviously.
Okay.
And then they came out with the 120. And then now they've got the 60, which is like tiny. It is like minute.
Yeah.
It's the size of pretty much a back wing, which should theoretically be like 1/5 of the size of your front wing. And it's just blows your mind how something that small can
Can actually work.
work.
The
I-
last year or two, technology's changed quite a lot.
I guess the main thing we've seen, or like kind of, I was quite lucky when I first bought my first foil. I got one which they called high aspect, which is essentially where they compare how wide the wing is to how, like, they call it the chord. It's essentially front back width, and so a high aspect wing is really wide compared to how long it is, like that way. And yeah, so I guess the trend has been that the wings have kind of tended from low aspect to high aspect wings, and I think that they makes them more efficient so that you have a smaller like area moving through the water, because obviously the less things you've got moving through the water, the faster they're going to go.
Less drag.
Yeah, the harder you
Right.
can turn them or
Yeah.
whatever.
Same
Okay.
lift for a lower drag, pretty much.
Yeah, so essentially like the wings that we're getting now, I know Noah just bought a new one
Yeah.
like literally 2 days ago. If you feel how thin it is, it's
Yeah. Well,
it's ridiculous that it gives you any lift at all.
well, when I first bought my first setup, everything was like pretty thick and bulky, just because that's where it was at the time. And then a year later, I think my front wing now is thinner than my back wing, which is.
If you see the size difference, that would.
Oh yeah, you. I could probably get a photo, but it would be what is it, 925 centimeters squared versus
1550.
Yeah.
50, oh no,
Oh, with the back,
wing.
yeah.
The back
sorry.
one's
It's
200 or something?
232.
232 squared. Yeah.
There must be a hard limit to it all, though, right? Like just like a mobile phone, you know, phones have gotten smaller and smaller, more compact. But then there is
There is, yeah. They're playing with that all the time. But a lot of this technology's come through, like the boating, America's Cup type stuff, because they use the foils in a lot of sailboats.
Yeah.
So everyone's playing with it and modifying it and changing it, trying to get the perfect combination.
I got like a pretty new foil. I don't know if many of you know it, but it's called the ART 999. It's like from Axis. It's from the Axis research team. That's the acronym ART, and it's like their newest like series of wings, and it's like super wide, as he was talking about, super high aspect.
Okay.
I don't know what the number means anything to you, but it's 9.9 aspect ratio, which is like really high. You expect others to be in like the lower sort of 4 to 5 to 6
That's
range.
9.9 to 1. That's that's how the ratio works.
Okay,
So
gotcha.
and the width versus
the tailing edge of the front wing is like, I'm not even exaggerating here, it'd probably be thinner than the tip of like a knife in my kitchen. Like it'd be close to that. Like it's insane.
That is incredible.
There's a funny story we got the other day when Noah rocked up with his new board and didn't have a leg rope for it, and so he's got this rope in his car. There's like, I've got to tie my leg rope on, so I flipped over my board. I was like, here, give it a shot on the back wing. It might be sharp enough. And Noah goes, oh, this is not going to... Clean cut.
Oh wow, okay.
So
anything to get out and surf.
All right, well, we better wrap it up. Are you going to do quick fire questions?
I think I have to.
All right.
Very quickly.
Super quick ones.
Very quickly. Okay, we're going to go around.
Yeah, go around.
Each person, okay. We do this with all of our guests.
Maybe just the album. Are you going to do that one? Favourite album?
Okay.
Oh.
All right, let's just finish with that then.
So you're on a deserted island with good waves and a foil. And what artist would you... Because we had this discussion off air and realised when we asked what album you'd listen to, you guys don't listen to albums. And we're old. So what artist would you listen to? Or maybe favourite song, artist? I don't know. You answer it how you want to. What would you want to have on your Spotify playlist?
Or on a
deserted island with internet.
It's got to be ABBA. Like a bit of ABBA while I'm out on a foil. You couldn't get much better than that.
I mean, I'd probably have to go for a mix, but depending on the mood I'm in, if I was in like a, I don't know, it's a hard choice, but recently Hans Zimmer has been sort of meeting my expectations in when I'm in a sort of, I don't know, intense mood.
Wow.
In my feelings.
Max, Hans Zimmer, big fan of Hans.
No, aside from that, probably can't go past a good Sticky Fingers song.
Yeah.
Okay,
Super
bit of a fan of... Yeah, okay.
I got to agree that probably most of the stuff I listen to is like indie. I guess maybe Glass Animals or something. I can't really think of anything else. Yeah, that's going to be my go.
Okay,
Cool.
Gentlemen, thank you so much for being on the Range Project. It's really amazing to get insights from... these are the first students we've had on the show, and this project just sounds amazing, and we're just really grateful you've come in the midst of your Year 12 exam preparation to share your experience with the project and all the work that you did with Mr. McLean. So
Thanks, boys. It was a pleasure working with you.
Yeah, thanks for all the hours that you gave us, because it really, we wouldn't have gone anywhere without your help. So
No worries. I'll see you out there.
see you out in the water.
Cheers.
Good stuff, guys.
Cheers.
See ya.
Thank you.